On that day, Isuzu and Seiya were in the office. Isuzu mentioned the report on Amadi's transportation, which stated that there had been an increase in bus frequency, while there was no significant update regarding the stadium. Suddenly, Seiya began to feel a severe headache and collapse, losing consciousness. Isuzu panicked and repeatedly called his name. She informed the fairies about Seiya's condition, and they were all shocked to hear that Seiya had fainted. Isuzu explained that Seiya had passed out due to a fever caused by the exhaustion from his summer work. They would face serious trouble if Seiya needed to be hospitalized. Muse tried to find a way to help him, suggesting that they could cool Seiya down with her water magic. Salama also offered to warm him up with her fire magic, but Kabari instead said she would like to give him a proper burial. In the infirmary, Latifa forbade Seiya from doing any activities. Seiya mentioned that his illness was just a summer fever, and that he could still work on some documents, but Latifa insisted he rest. She said that his health was more important than any of that and told him to stay home until he recovered. She then left. Shortly after, Isuzu came in to check on Seiya. Seiya asked Isuzu to calm Latifa down because she was overly worried about him. Seiya then asked about the strange object on Isuzu's head, but Isuzu told him to ignore it. Seiya expressed concern about his school attendance. Suddenly, Isuzu leaned in and touched Seiya, telling him that she could no longer just be his secretary. Seiya became frightened and tried to move away, but Isuzu kept getting closer. It turned out that it was not really Isuzu, but Tirami in disguise. Tirami and Makaran had been pranking Seiya by using magical costumes pretending to be Isuzu. Makaran explained that the costume was a modified version of the one used by the Digging clan when they disguised themselves as pig soldiers. Tirami added that this should solve Seiya's school attendance problem. Seiya soon realized that Makaran and Tirami planned to go to school in Seiya's costume and use his identity. Tirami said that unfortunately, the costume only replicated the outer appearance, but they could use their imagination to create the inner parts. Upon hearing this, Isuzu quickly shot a spell at them. Mawful agreed with the solution that Makaran and Tirami had come up with, especially since Seiya didn't have any friends at school and would just sit there without talking much. That morning, Isuzu wore the magical costume to disguise herself as Seiya. The fake Seiya went to school and Isuzu felt as though she was truly becoming a man. Suddenly, a group of students jumped toward her, sensing a feminine smell around the fake Seiya. However, they left when they didn't see any women around. Just then, Sheena greeted the fake Seiya and asked if he wasn't supposed to be homesick with a fever. She also questioned the strange object on his head. The fake Seiya told her not to worry about it. The fake Seiya then mentioned that the fever was gone and asked if there was anything different about him today. Sheena guessed that Seiya was in a good mood, which was unusual because he usually acted indifferent toward her and this made her happy. She then left and Isuzu became curious about how Seiya treated women every day. The fake Seiya found a love letter in his locker. When he read it, it said that the sender had liked him since the first year and didn't care about what others said, knowing that Seiya was a good person. The sender invited him to meet behind the gym after school to confess their feelings. While in class, Isuzu was still thinking about what to do. She considered texting Seiya for instructions but didn't have the heart to do so because Seiya was still sick. After school, when the fake Seiya met the letter's sender, Kanae, it turned out that Kanae had accidentally put the letter in Seiya's locker. She had meant to place it in Kimura's locker instead. Kanae asked about the object on the fake Seiya's head, but the fake Seiya told her not to worry about it. The fake Seiya then asked Kanae if she didn't like Seiya. Kanae thought Seiya was angry and quickly apologized. However, the fake Seiya told her not to worry about it because everyone makes mistakes. Instead, he was actually impressed that Kanae had come to apologize, seeing it as an admirable and honorable act. Kanae was surprised to be called an honest girl and she thanked him, thinking Seiya would have scolded her. Suddenly, Kanae mentioned that she was glad she had intentionally placed the letter and then quickly left. Isuzu was left wondering about Kanae's behavior. Later that afternoon, Isuzu was chatting with Makaran. She said that the day had gone smoothly with no important reports, and she hoped tomorrow would be just as easy. Makaran then remembered his past at Doki Doki Melody High School in Maple Land, a school known for its delinquent students. Isuzu had even heard about some violence at that school. Makaran mentioned that he used to be part of a gang there, but in the end they kicked him out when the school found out he had been inciting other schools. Isuzu wasn't particularly interested in hearing about it and just hoped that Makaran wouldn't cause any trouble. Makaran understood and promised to act like a typical high school student. The next day at school, Makaran wore Seiya's magic costume. The fake Seiya was reading a comic and slouching in a way that was disrespectful while the teacher was giving a lesson. The teacher asked about the object on his head, and the fake Seiya told him not to worry about it, even asking the teacher to just get back to his work. Seiya then stood up and requested to go to the student infirmary because he wasn't feeling well. He laid down behind the school and suddenly Sheena approached him. The fake Seiya addressed her by her real name, which confused Sheena. The fake Seiya explained that he was bored because he couldn't smoke and the lessons were dull. He mentioned he had almost been scolded and kicked out of the classroom. Sheena seemed confused by this story. The fake Seiya then suggested skipping the afternoon and going to the vending machine. Sheena immediately rejected the idea and left. The fake Seiya overheard Kanae and Kimura arguing. Kimura mentioned that Mutsumi had told him Kanae was planning to give him a love letter. Kanae admitted that this was true but expressed her confusion over whether it was really what she wanted. Kimura said he would accept the letter if Kanae confessed to him directly. Kanae then realized her feelings were elsewhere. The fake Seiya felt compelled to offer some wise advice. He approached them and calmed them down, telling Kimura that the more a guy chases a girl, the more she tends to pull away. What was needed, he said, was confidence. Step back for a bit and wait for the girl to make a decision. Kimura was annoyed and said that Seiya himself was the one who had mistakenly received the letter, and it was because of that incident that Kanae had started to like Seiya. The fake Seiya was shocked to learn this. Kanae apologized, saying she didn't mean to burden Seiya or Kimura, but because Seiya had been kind to her yesterday, she became confused about whether she liked Seiya or Kimura. The fake Seiya became more confused because Isuzu hadn't told him about this. He suspected that this might have happened before yesterday. Kimura, now very angry, called Seiya a manipulator. At the peak of his frustration, Kimura threw a punch at the fake Seiya. Macaron thought the punch could be dodged, but it landed and twisted Seiya's neck. Kimura froze in fear, but the fake Seiya quickly corrected his neck. Kimura then ran off terrified. Kanae asked if Seiya was okay. The fake Seiya reassured her that his body was different from others, but he was fine. He also thought Kanae was a bit gullible for believing him so easily. Kanae apologized for causing Seiya trouble. The fake Seiya gave her some advice based on his experiences during a divorce process. He said that such problems often required a third party to calm emotions and change the perspective of the issue. He suggested Kanae talk it over with her friend at a cafe, as it would likely be more calming in a place full of strangers. Seiya then left, but Kanae said she was still in shock from what had just happened. However, she truly appreciated Seiya's help, and she bowed to thank him. The fake Seiya asked Kanae not to bow like that because she looked more attractive when she wasn't bowing. That afternoon, Isuzu asked Macaron if he hadn't caused any trouble that day. Macaron replied that many things had happened, but nothing too serious. Tirami was excited because tomorrow was her turn to be a fake Seiya. She recalled her time at Waku Waku Garden High School. Macaron was surprised to learn that Tirami had attended such a prestigious school. Isuzu mentioned that the school had been leveled due to a mysterious explosion. Tirami explained that the explosion was actually her fault. Back then, she was a member of the chemistry club, and one day she was playing with some explosive magic powder. The explosion turned out to be much stronger than she expected, and it ended up destroying the school. Hearing this, Isuzu immediately pointed her musket at Tirami and warned her not to blow up Seiya's school. Tirami promised to behave like an ordinary high school student from then on. The next day, Tirami became the fake Seiya and went to school. During lunch break, she sat behind the school and stared at the many beautiful girls. She could hardly contain herself. Suddenly, Kanae approached and asked if they could talk for a bit. The fake Seiya immediately invited Kanae to sit next to her. Tirami was overjoyed and never expected Seiya to know such a cute girl. She wasn't going to miss this chance. At first, the fake Seiya pretended to forget Kanae's name, but Kanae was surprised that he had forgotten her. Then, using her charm, the fake Seiya said that there was no way he could forget her, and that just hearing her name made him happy. He even asked her to say it again. The fake Seiya was truly flirting with her, but Kanae asked him not to mess with her. The fake Seiya then immediately hugged her and suggested they go somewhere private so he could flirt with her to his heart's content. He reassured her not to worry, saying he would be gentle. The fake Seiya boldly pulled Kanae into his embrace. Suddenly, Sheena called out to them and asked who the woman in his arms was. The fake Seiya replied that Sheena didn't need to know their business because he and Kanae were just having fun. He even invited Sheena to join in. Sheena threw food at Seiya's face and said she was going to tell Isuzu so he would know what Seiya was up to. Kanae then asked who that girl was. The fake Seiya explained that Sheena was his co-worker, but he tried to hug Kanae again. Kanae pulled away, saying that the way Seiya had been speaking bothered her. She asked what his relationship with Sheena was and inquired about Isuzu, who Sheena had mentioned. Kanae realized that Isuzu seemed to be getting closer to Seiya recently. Kanae started to suspect that Isuzu might just be Seiya's third lover. She began to think that Seiya was used to flirting with women, even though she had previously thought he was a kind-hearted man. The fake Seiya told her that Kanae was the most important person in his life, But when Kanae tested him by asking his name, he messed it up. Kanae quickly got up and left him. That afternoon, Isuzu asked if there had been any serious problems that day, and Tirami said there were none. Isuzu then asked Maful to be the fake Seiya tomorrow. Maful suddenly remembered his time at Fuwa Military High School, the memories of the dorm and those almost forgotten. Just as Maful was about to share the story, Isuzu interrupted him. The next day, Seiya and Isuzu were stopped by Mutsumi and her friends. Mutsumi accused Seiya of doing something wrong to Kanae and asked about the object on Seiya's head, but the fake Seiya told her not to worry about it. The fake Seiya seemed confused by how suddenly angry Mutsumi was. Kanae tried to stop her, but her efforts were in vain. Mutsumi and the others claimed that Seiya had taken Kanae to a secluded place and that Seiya had said Shina and Isuzu were his girlfriends and together they were plotting something bad against Kanae. Kanae denied saying that, but Mutsumi and the others insisted it was the truth. Isuzu swore that she wasn't dating Seiya and even threatened to beat him up, but the fake Seiya stopped her. Mutsumi demanded that Seiya apologize and kneel, showing genuine regret. The fake Seiya complied, but Mutsumi felt like he was mocking her. Mutsumi suspected that Seiya was just pretending to apologize like something out of a manga or TV show. Hearing this, the fake Seiya said that Mutsumi was saying something inappropriate. Isuzu pointed out that the fake Seiya didn't like being seen as a copycat. The fake Seiya got emotional and said that even though he had tried to play along with his friend's game, he was fed up with the hurt feelings. He even suspected that Mutsumi thought he was cool for helping Kanae. With his strength, the fake Seiya broke a tree branch and said that none of them knew what true love was like when a woman you loved for 10 years marries your mortal enemy, and the pain you felt when you attended their wedding was having to take care of their daughter. Isuzu suspected that the fake Seiya was talking about his mother, Latifa. Mutsumi said Seiya was really scary. Suddenly, Kimura arrived and apologized, saying that Seiya had done all of this for his sake. Kimura explained that Seiya had done everything to make Kanae hate him, and it was actually Kimura who had begged Seiya, so he could have Kanae for himself. Kimura promised that from now on, he would work hard to become a man worthy of Kanae. Once everything was cleared up, Mutsumi couldn't protest anymore. Later, Seiya thanked Shina for letting him know about everything. Shina had sensed something was off from the beginning, and luckily, Shina had Seiya's number. Shina then asked why Seiya didn't get mad at Maful and the others, since they had caused all the girls at school to almost hate Seiya. Seiya replied that no matter what had happened, they had tried to help him by being his replacements, so he didn't have the right to be angry with them. Shina smiled, saying that Seiya really was just like she had thought. That evening, Isuzu met Seiya and Latifa on top of the castle. Latifa told Isuzu that Seiya was such a strange person because he ate shortcake without touching the strawberries at all. Isuzu said that Seiya seemed fine and would be able to go back to school the next day. Seiya felt fully recovered and apologized for causing Isuzu trouble. Isuzu said she hadn't helped much and might have even made things worse. Latifa mentioned that she had a new recipe for croquettes, and Seiya agreed that it would be great to have more items on the menu at Maple Kitchen. Latifa even asked Seiya to try it first, to which Seiya joked, asking if she was going to make him her guinea pig. Latifa reassured him she wasn't trying to do that. Seiya laughed, saying he was just joking with her. The two of them seemed to be chatting comfortably and happily, while Isuzu remained silently watching. With only 24 days left, the target number of visitors was still 152,508 people short.